day, my super fantastic science boffins. Just to let you know, I miss you all. Your faces, your energy, and the amazing science lessons we used to have. Hope you are ready for today's lesson. Let's have some fun.
For today's topic, we will be continuing with the arrangement of particles in solids, liquids, and gases. Now, we know there are three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. So, solid, liquids, and gas are made up of particles that are always moving. There are spaces between these particles of substance. Then we will look at the spaces between the particles. They are small and the particles are closely held together. Now, if we look at a solid, I want you to think of an ice block. An ice block is a solid. Now, it's rigid in shape, meaning it stays the same shape. It's a fixed shape. It doesn't move, it can't break, obviously unless you throw it. And it's fixed in volume. The ice cube will be the same volume depending on when you take it out until it melts. Then we will move to a liquid. Now, a liquid is not rigid because remember, a liquid can move any way it wants. So it's not rigid. Then a liquid is not a fixed shape, and it does have a fixed volume because the same amount of volume the liquid is in a glass is the same amount of liquid it would be if I poured it onto a table. Now let's take a look at gas. A gas is not rigid. There's no fixed shape and there's no fixed volume. Because in all honesty, a gas does just what it wants. It's all around us. Particles are arranged differently in solid, liquids, and gases. So we are going to take a little journey into looking at just solids. Now, solids, particles, are very close together. And it's important that you understand that there are small spaces between these particles. Now, if you think back to the experiment where we put the stones in the jar, the stones were a solid, but there were small little spaces between the stones. Now, the particles are packed tightly together in a regular pattern. You will see on the slide that I've shown you a picture. Now, they cannot move or vibrate freely or fast because remember, in a solid, they are held so tightly together. Now, yes, of course, they do vibrate, but they vibrate in a fixed position only. They do not vibrate in a freely or fast movement. This explains why solids have a fixed or rigid shape. Now, I want you to sit and think of an example of a solid. Solids are a form of matter and it has a definite shape and volume. So if we look in our day-to-day lives, we'll see things like copper, gold, brass, wood. These are different types of solids. But remember, we can look at things like an apple, butter, an ice block, a brick, or steel. Those form parts of solids as well. We looked at a solid and how the particles are arranged. So now we're going to take a deeper look into how particles are arranged in a liquid. Now I want you to think of a liquid. This could be water, Fanta, maybe a milkshake. Those are different liquids. Let's take a deeper look. So the particles of a liquid are closely packed, but they are definitely further apart than in solids. Now, I'll put a picture there for you to see how the particles are closely packed, but they are a little further apart. Now, you will also notice that there are small spaces between these particles. And those particles are not packed in any fixed pattern. They are freely on their own. The particles are not held together, as you would have noticed, and they're kind of moving and vibrating fast and more freely between one another than you would get in a solid. Now this would explain why liquids could just flow and take on any shape of a container. Because remember, if we put water in a glass and then we take that water and put it into a bottle, it takes on a different shape. What about if we take, let's say, food coloring and we put it in a glass and then we take a syringe? Remember, it's still the same substance, just in a different form. But remember, that's not a different form of matter, it's just taken on a different shape. Now, let's have a look at the different examples of liquids. Liquids are a form of matter that have a definite volume, but they definitely do not have a definite shape. So that is how they are different. They have a defined volume but no defined shape. So liquids can flow and assume any shape they want, depending on the container they are in. Now, an example of this could be water, milk, honey, and yes, blood or urine. Other examples could be gasoline, wine, or rubbing alkali, and even mercury. Now we are going to take a look at how the particles are arranged in gases. Now think of the gas around you, the gas we breathe, the gas we let out that sometimes we shouldn't. But now the particles are very far apart from each other, and you would see that in the example that I put at the bottom. Now there are big spaces between these particles, and the particles can move freely in all directions. And now you must understand, grade 6s, they move very fast because they now have extra space to start moving and vibrating. So they are not held together strongly at all. So this kind of explains why gases have no shape, as we don't often see them, or let's be honest, we don't see them at all. They are on their own. Now I want us to look at examples of gases. So, as you know, a gas is a form of matter that does not have a defined shape or volume, but gases expand to fill the space they are given. Types of gases that we get are air. Now remember, air is made up of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Helium, we find helium in balloons. Nitrogen and hydrogen are other examples of gases. But we can also look at water vapor in the ozone layer, and this happens during the water cycle. That is also a gas. Other gases could be natural gases. Now I know you know what I mean. Grade 6s. Now I hope you have a better understanding of how particles are arranged differently in solids, liquids and gases. But now wait, pay attention, stop for a moment. I would please like to ask you to make sure you have all these notes copied into your workbook, as they are important for you to use when studying. I would also please like to ask you to complete activity 4 on page 59. Now, if you do not have your natural science textbook at home, I have uploaded the activity onto Google Classroom. Something very important that you will note is I have given you some rules to follow and to remember when drawing a scientific drawing. You will need those rules for when you draw your diagram in activity 4. I hope you Enjoy!
Thank you for attending this wonderful online class. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on the WhatsApp group, Google Classroom, or any other way you can get hold of me. Just know I miss you all very much. Stay safe.